Well, there's a pile of wing windows, window regulators for the most part, and latches and other miscellaneous stuff. But one of the things I wanted to point out was a couple of special bolts that go onto the upper Junior West Coast mirror mounts. These bolts are hidden behind the weather strip, and they're really flat, and they're shaved off on one corner. So they attach to the upper mount for the Junior West Coast mirror. So if you're pulling a Junior West Coast mirror setup off, don't forget those special bolts. Save you some grinding. And let's see, these second gens had this reflector in the door and the rear. Now, I had heard and had confirmed by looking at the wiring diagram that the 1970 only was functional. I mean, they had a bulb in there. But there was a door from a 68 Deluxe, maybe you saw it had that trim on there, that had this on there. So apparently, this is the first time I've seen this. I believe this is original, I'm not sure. Maybe somebody added it, I'm not sure. Anyway, let's see here, let's open this up right now. That looks quite a bit different than the other one. So let me see this. So this leads me to believe that this was functional factory, even though they've got that Scotch lock electrical connector on there. So that is quite a bit different. I don't think somebody would cut that out like that. I don't know if they'd even be able to with that square. It looks pretty different. So anyway, that's my conclusion, is that on 68 Deluxe, they had the option for functional running lights. Maybe they had them hooked up as turn signals too, I don't know. And I'm not sure about the back because that van is not here, it's long gone. So there's a little trivia point. Functional marker lights on certain second gens. All right, and we will hit these doors again tomorrow. We've still got a lot of vacuuming to do on this. Some of this weather strip we are going to leave in place. Amazingly enough, some of it is just not cracked, and somebody may want to reuse that. The bottoms are almost all gone, the weather strip, so I may take a few strips of the other one and at least salvage one or two of these doors with the weather strip, just because they are so expensive. That weather strip, Steel Rubber, is really proud of their product, and probably righteously so, because it is a good product. And after you're done finishing up your van with a paint job, and you see the sticker shock for that rubber around the doors and the cargo doors, oh my gosh, you're gonna say, well, what am I gonna do? And the answer is, you're gonna pay it. So that's the adventure for doors today. We may pick this up again tomorrow, and maybe we'll get a shot of all the doors together. I think altogether I got a couple dozen, so give or take, not including the ones that are on the vans out there. So anyway, that's today's adventure in vintage Chevy van land. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, we've done quite a few doors here on time lapse. This is the last one that's readily available that's not on a van that needs to be stripped. I'll be able to do more door stripping demos in the future, but not in the immediate future until I start pulling them off of other vans that I have out there that are patiently waiting for my attention. So I wanted to do one with a little bit of video commentary and a little bit of time lapse. So the first thing that we like to do, as you may have seen from these time lapse videos, is to pull off the hinges and the mirror. So we started with this side. Of course, this is one of the worst doors that I have in inventory, but there's always some useful parts on here, even though a lot of them need a whole lot of work. Whether it's the window regulators or the vent windows, or somebody's cut a hole in there for a speaker at the wrong space, like the last one. Anyway, what we like to do first is, like I said, first the hinges, the mirrors, or the West Coast mirror if it's on there, any other mirror, and then flip it over and get the door handle off. Of course, the door handle's off on this side already, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go with the hinges and then flip it over. All right, time lapse. Okay, this door has already been stripped quite a bit. There's a lot of stuff missing. The latch, it's got a big hit on the inside. To me, it looks like this was struck from the inside. How that ever happened, I don't know. But anyway, there's still some salvageable parts on here, which is what we plan on doing. So now this flipped over. If there was a door handle, that's when we'd pull the screws out of the two spots right here, boink, and then the cover, of course. This one has a handle on it, which is not attached to anything except the cover. So we'll take that one off later. It's probably going to require some heat. The next step is take the latch off. If this latch was still in place, we would pull these three screws off. And the precaution here is these like to fatigue. The metal around here gets really weak, and if you have one that's stuck, you want to make sure that these other ones are first loosened and then tighten it back up, because if you're pushing on this area here that is already fatigued, you could shove that metal in even further and cause additional damage. So with that latch in place and the screws fairly tight, you can work on the one tough screw, get that loose, and then go ahead and loosen them all and avoid additional damage around this latch. So once that latch is out, then we disconnect the latch at the handle mechanism, and then you can pull this forward and disconnect this flat bar handle from the latch. That's not in place right now, but we're just going to go ahead and proceed that way. After that comes the door handle, the window regulator, and we'll take those four screws out, and I'll show you how I like to pull that thing out. As usual, I don't say that the way I'm doing it is the right way. I'm just saying that this is the way I do it, and if anybody has any suggestions on how to make it better, I'm all ears. Please include that in the comments section. We'll add it, because we don't want people to try and make the same mistakes that other people have. Just because I've done a few of these doesn't mean it's the right way. And I hope that you would contribute what you know so that we can all learn how to do these things a little bit better. All right, off to time lapse again. Okay, the window regulator, there was only 3 bolts, 3 screws holding it in, and there was one that was just a real bear. I resist using the heat because it can have adverse effects on this sheet metal. If you get it red hot, then it tends to crack later on. It just is not good for it. The heat gun I'm using right now is this Quick Fire by Burns-O-Matic. Unfortunately, it's no longer available. They quit making the little cartridges for it. It runs on MAP gas. It's real handy, but I adapt the larger tanks to it. It requires a little bit of modification to the tank, which I'm sure is not recommended by Burns-O-Matic, but these things are really handy. MAP gas burns really hot. The only thing I don't like about this for the use on vintage Chevy vans is that the flame is not directed into a significant, a good enough point. If I had my way, I would be able to direct the heat just onto a 1/4-20 screw, Phillips head screw, which is what a lot of the fasteners are that are used in this door. So as time goes on, I'm going to get a better torch, something that's more directed, so I don't apply heat to anything but the fastener. So that's the story for this heat. The window is broken on this, so normally what I would do if it was not broken is I would pull this division bar in the back out. It's held on with a screw down here, which can be a real bear to remove. I try to take special care on that because these division bars are easily damaged and they can be a hassle to fabricate. There's another screw that holds it in right up top. You got to pull the weather stripping out to even see that one screw, and that one also likes to get hung up and stick. So the weather strip is out on this, except for the whiskers that normally run at the bottom of the window glass. Those are normally removed after this division bar and after you pull the glass out. And when you're pulling the glass out, you want to run this all the way counterclockwise until the window is all the way in the down position, and then disengage the window track from the regulator. Then tilt the window like so that the bottom of the window is in this position, so you're at about 90 degrees, and then pull that metal track out a little bit farther than these whiskers can go. Normally that's the best way, or at least as far as you can get. That way there's the least amount of damage to the window track. Seems to come out easier that way. Once that's out, then this can go all the way counterclockwise. As I said, you can drop this down. This normally has a little bit of hang up on this lower division bar, but when this is loose, then you can rotate this around and you can look and make sure that you see no teeth from that large sawtooth gear that is on the window regulator. So this arm gets rotated down. And it's out there. So that window regulator is not all the way in the down position. There'll be a natural stop on this. There it is. Now you take the end of the window regulator, move it south toward the bottom of the door, and then it'll drop down with this spline all the way in the lower position. That'll easily clear this bottom part of the wing window. And you can just slide it out. And essentially this piece, you've got to go down into this area where there's a little bit more room, and you slide it out like yay. So this is a first gen one, so it's worth saving. The shaft is a different size. The spring is still intact. The gear is not terribly bad. The shaft is a little bit worn, so that might need to be changed. And of course, these are very difficult to grease, but it's a good core. So back to time lapse, pull that vent window out.